All right. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Here to talk about all things about professional wrestling. So, hope you guys having a great week. It is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. We are yet done with another week. So, something to be excited for. We have WWE Summerslam right around the corner. We also have SmackDown tomorrow. So, a lot of cool stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. On tap today, we have our AEW Dynamite review. We also have my Thursday Night Wrestling preview, Step into the Ring of TNA, and also the world of Ring of Honor. And then we're going to talk about some potential SummerSlam rumors that are heading around, that are kind of circulating around the professional wrestling industry and news media and stuff like that. So we're going to dig into that. And then we're going to talk about, recently Triple H has unveiled that WWE Survivor Series is heading toward Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and it's going to be War Games. So I see a Bloodline Civil War in War Games. So I don't know if we're going to get it. I think I'm like 85% sure we're probably going to get that match right then and there. So we're going to dig on into that, maybe a little bit of, like a predictions, what's going to happen, how the team's going to form, what's going to happen heading up to it. So we're just going to have a little bit of fun with that. And then our fifth segment on a Thursday, we do it every Thursday, my Thursday Superstar Spotlight. Today we're going to talk about the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me your projected storylines. Maybe something you want to see in terms of professional wrestling. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also follow the show. Also the network, the GSMC Sports Network. Also leave a positive review here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the way. So don't be afraid to leave a chat. Obviously, leave a tip. Donate. Anything's greatly appreciated. The only thing I really care about is hearing your guys' opinions. Chat about anything. Hell, even give me a shout out of where you're listening from tonight. So yeah, just be super cool with it. It's gonna be awesome. With a lot of audience engagement, it makes the show that much better. So yeah. All right, let's go ahead and start with our AEW Dynamite review. So of course, it seems like it's kind of become something that's kind of natural in terms of like an AEW Dynamite episode. You had MJF come out, start things off. He had he has a habit of showing off first on Dynamite. So he came out, he was talking his trash, of course, like that, but this mostly just set up the Will Ospreay match. You saw Will Ospreay chase him out of the ring, told him that he was not a real international champion, that he could care less about, other countries than American, and ironically, he changed the championship to the American Championship. And then you saw Ospreay defeat Lance Archer, which was kind of crazy. But after the match, you saw MJF sneak attack Will Ospreay. Then out of nowhere, you saw his bruv Kyle Fletcher from the Don Callis family came in to kind of help him out, even the odds a little bit. And I thought it was pretty crazy how MJF called him a wannabe Will Ospreay. They kind of do look alike. One's from Australia. I'm not 1,010% sure where Will Ospreay is from. Don't want to say something, obviously that's inaccurate or whatever. So, and now they have a match. They have a match next week on Dynamite. And MJF, he's not going to walk away just unscathed. Kyle Fletcher is, he was a prestigious Ring of Honor World Television Champion. He's going to go in there. He's going to give you all he got. Would be kind of a shocker if he ends up with the dub, but more than likely, I don't think that I see that coming. It seemed like he had to convince Don Callis to come out. He said, look, I know he asked out of the family, but in reality, Will Ospreay is my brother. And Don Callis, he didn't really look too happy about it. Obviously, he got a handshake from Will Ospreay, so maybe there's some animosity, buried between the two. So no, it was a great starting segment. It was a great starting match. Lance Archer, I thought was going to come out with a little more pop, but Will Ospreay, he's the aerial assassin. You know what I mean? Like it's not weird if Will Ospreay starts off Dynamite with the win there. Next, you see a promo. You see a backstage promo between the Learning Tree, the Bad Apple, Brian Keith, and also the Big Redwood, Big Bill, and Chris Jericho. 102 days as the FTW champion. And I think I heard him say it's like one of the longest reigns, if not the longest reign of an FTW champion. I'm not too sure if I heard that correctly, but I thought that was kind of cool. Next, we see Kris Statlander taking on Willow Nightingale, a CMLL Women's World Championship Eliminator match. And of course, much like I predicted, I knew Stokely was going to get involved. I knew Kris Statlander was going to get this match because, heading toward AEW All In, it's the biggest event in AEW. So it seemed fitting to kind of have those two superstars that's been, eking at each other since Kris Statlander stabbed Willow Nightingale in the back at Double or Nothing. So now we have the match set. We're gonna have, for the CMLL World Women's Champion. Of course, if it wasn't for that chain around Kris Statlander's fist, Willow Nightingale probably would have picked up the victory. But I see why they did. I see why they did it. So next, then you see Bryan Danielson come out, a little somber mood. Everyone's, was expecting him to kind of retire. And to be honest, I kind of thought he was going to as well. He came out and he was talking about his contract and stuff like that. His contract is actually it's up as of today, August 1st. And he was talking about the promise he made to his daughter, excuse me. Daughter he made the promise he made to his daughter, the promise he made to his wife, and he said that he's given everything he's had to AEW, and AEW was the best last years of his career. I definitely, loved how he was able to kind of stand on the ledge and say that. Um, and he deemed it. He said that this is going to be his last shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Obviously, you saw Swerve Strickland, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, come out, just give, kind of give respect to Bryan Danielson, but at the same time, just tell him like, hey, although, your career, he put his career on the line, career for championship. And, just because you put your career on the line doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to take it easy on you just because you're this big, baby face in terms of, AEW now because, you're fighting your career. It doesn't really matter. I'm still going to try to get in your head. I'm still going to, make it personal like Swerve Strickland does. Like he always says that when it comes to the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, it's always personal. Like he does not want to lose that championship. He is the tippy top dog in AEW. So, it doesn't really surprise me there a little bit. And he said, I promise I will never wrestle again. And then he said, honestly, keep your promise with, not with me, but keep your promise with your family. And everybody was getting, oh man, everybody was getting all the Swerve hate. But then he still had, some of the Swerve heads out there. The whose house? Swerve's house. Who's? I thought, overall, I thought it was a great promo. Great way to set up AEW's, main event All In. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And then you saw Bryan Danielson, obviously caught up in the moment, frustrated as hell. Went backstage. Double J came up to him and congratulated him for going all in, not having one foot in the door, one foot out of the door. Like Double J criticized him 2 weeks ago on Dynamite. But Bryan Danielson, he looked very upset. He looked very upset. Looked very frustrated. Seeming like he kind of gave into the peer pressure a little bit. He kind of he bought what Double J said, his pump up speech and stuff like that. So, definitely feel for Bryan Danielson. Obviously, he's going to have the match with Double J, all the matches he possibly can until, hopefully not the end of his career, but, in terms of his neck injury and stuff like that, and what the doctor said, like we have to make sure your neck stays fixable because if it doesn't, then you're kind of crap out of luck there. So, I just want the best for Bryan Danielson's health. Hopefully, for his family, for his wife, and all that stuff. So, moving on, we have Roosh, Beast Mortos, and Roderick Strong defeating the conglomeration or Orange Cassidy, Tomohiro Ishii, and also the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion Mark Briscoe. Overall, it was a great match. A lot of action. Definitely love how Mark Briscoe is able to light up an arena. Definitely love how that's the reason why he remains Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion. He keeps defeating people like Kyle Fletcher, like Roderick Strong, and he goes out there and he's ready to fight 1,010%. It was kind of crazy. You've seen the Beast Mortos kind of out like wrestling a lot lately. Like even Don Callis was talking about how impressive he is. Wouldn't surprise me if maybe you see like an allegiance between, maybe the Beast Mortos is kind of like the attack dog of the Don Callis family. Would be interesting to see how that kind of goes moving forward. Then you saw Camille, obviously Mercedes Monet's new attack dog, in the squash match, obviously she was able to pick up the victory. Mariah May backstage had an interview with Renee Paquette. She basically stated how, AEW is the eat or be eaten kind of world. And I think it's, my turn to eat. Tony Storm always told Mariah May that, do the best you can because out in this world, they're going to eat you alive. So then she said, hey, then it's kind of my turn to eat. So, Mariah May, the glamour, coming after timeless Tony Storm's AEW World Women's Championship at All In at Wembley Stadium in London. Lastly, we have the main event. We had Hangman Adam Page for the first time fighting with Darby Allin. Both of these guys were kind of the trailblazers. They kind of started it all. They started with the company and stuff like that. So it's kind of, it's kind of crazy how it took them this long to finally have a match. But thanks to Adam Page's cockiness, thanks to his overly stimulated mind. I'm just kidding, no. But Darby Allin was able to pick up the victory. When the lights went out, I guaranteed I thought there was gonna be a beatdown. I was like, okay, great. Hangman Adam Page ends up, hanging out and being a member of the elite. Didn't really see Matthew and Nicholas Jackson too much in this episodes, the EVPs and stuff like that. Thought that was a little strange. No Kazuchika Okada, didn't really see Jack Perry in the back as well. Kind of crazy. But at the end of the night, you had Darby Allin with the roll up defeating the Hangman Adam Page. So I thought it was a pretty good episode overall of AEW Dynamite. Definitely recommend, checking out some highlights, giving it an extra look. So, hey, gotta be honest, it was pretty awesome. All right, guys, we've got done with that first segment. Moving on to our second segment, we're going to talk about my Thursday night wrestling preview, TNA Impact, Ring of Honor, Honor Club. We're going to talk about it all here when we come back. So, hey, stay tuned.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, and we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday. 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, here to talk about all things about the world of professional wrestling. So we recently just got done talking about AEW Dynamite review. Now we're going to jump on into my Thursday night wrestling preview. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Give me a shout out of where you're listening from. Hell, even give me some of your weekend plans. We can maybe talk about that. Let me know what you want to see at WWE Summerslam. We have rumors coming up. So if you've heard something on the other end, you can definitely 1,010%, contribute to the conversation we're having here. Because this podcast isn't just my podcast, it's our podcast. As wrestling fans, we are 1,010%. We stick together 1,010%. It's like an unspoken bond whenever you see somebody with a wrestling shirt or whenever you see a post on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or, whatever. Like you just kind of, you stop, you kind of feel like you can't, connect with the person in a certain way because you have that same crazy passion for this sports entertainment conglomerate that is professional wrestling. So don't be afraid to tell me how you feel. Hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. And just share some of your feelings. All right, so we're going to talk about Thursday night wrestling preview. Without further ado, let's jump on into TNA Impact tonight. Mustafa Ali looking for a new direction after losing his X Division Championship at Slammiversary against Mike Speedball. This is going to be a good one. I feel like a lot of people, kind of, look down on Mustafa Ali because of his size and stuff like that. But kind of reminds me of like a like a mid carder trying to make it up to the main card. And Mustafa Ali, 1,010%. Although he might not be the biggest, overwhelming looking guy, he can definitely make a main event match look, pretty darn good and entertain the fans 1,010%. So Ali claiming that he's making the TNA World Title great again. Kind of have that little bit of politics and stuff like that. What he's going for. I thought it was kind of funny. Nick Nemeth will take on Mustafa Ali tonight on TNA Impact. Nick Nemeth looks pretty confident. He was willing and ready to defend the championship last week, but of course Mustafa Ali loves his cliffhangers. Wanted some time to prepare, which was probably the right move. I would have done the same thing. Next, we have PCO and Statlander getting married. Mazel tov to the Canadian Frankenstein along with his partner, Statlander. Would be interesting to see what happens because pro wrestling and weddings always kind of end up bad. So there's going to be something crazy that's going to happen. Maybe AJ Francis comes back, to attack PCO, telling like, oh, we were planning it with Statlander the whole time. I think that'd be pretty crazy. The digital media champion / international Canadian champion might be in for a surprise. Hope he doesn't get his heartbeat. I hate it when big lugs like PCO and myself. I'm just kidding. No, but I just should be interested to find out what happens tonight. Maybe kind of building up toward finding the number one contender for PCO's digital media championship. Who knows? 1,010%. Next, we have Spitfire, Danny Luna, and Jody Threat. Obviously, they were robbed of a victory at Slammiversary. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Tonight, Jody Threat goes one-on-one against Masha Slamovich. Probably will be accompanied by Alicia Edwards, 1,010%. Rosemary, ready to unleash chaos. Whoever she fights in the ring tonight is in for a very horrific rise. Obviously, the promos and the interviews have been, a little askew, a little terrifying. That horror film kind of feel a little bit. Definitely, love the way they're kind of going with that. Rosemary, 1,010%. Like I've seen, sorry, excuse me, it's hot here. Kind of seen her, fight before. Obviously, I feel like she can hold her own inside of the squared circle. This could definitely be, kind of leading toward, trying to gain momentum to challenge perhaps Jordan Grace for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. That would be a pretty interesting match. I got to be honest. You know what I mean? Or, Rosemary, maybe, her, Tatum Paxley, Wendy Chu, the creepos of NXT and, TNA Unite for a nice little, faction or something like that. That would be, pretty interesting, pretty ideal. And it just seems kind of crazy. So tonight on Impact, Ryan Nemeth looks to solve his Frankie Kazarian problems. They've been, Frankie Kazarian has been a thorn in the side of the Nemeth brothers for as long as, I've been probably watching all of TNA. So Frankie Kazarian, he's like I said, he's just such an antagonist. He's such a I don't want to say an a-hole. I'm just kidding. No, but he reminds me of like a Randy Orton. I think I made that comparison a little bit. How he, he doesn't really care about how the crowd really sees him. He doesn't care, who he pisses off. Along the way in the journey, trying to find success. I don't know why I was going to say succession. That sounds, that wasn't right. Wrong wording. But Ryan Nemeth, he's more than capable to have a great match with Frankie Kazarian. Definitely, on my radar of gonna be one of the better matches tonight. I feel like they might steal the show away from the match that his brother's fighting for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against Mustafa Ali. So might be low key. Might be cool. Might be kind of good match. Next, we have the Rascals taking on Speedball Mountain and Kushida. Obviously, when Mike Speedball, I think Bailey, he defeated Mustafa Ali for the X Division Championship. You saw the Rascals ultimately congratulate them, shaking their hands and saying we want a match next week. Go ahead and find a partner. They found Kushida. Kushida recently tagged with the Rascals, but now you have Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz, and now you have the new and improved Wes Lee. Ever since Wes Lee joined forces with the Rascals, once again after that 4-year hiatus, he just looks different. He looks like he's having fun inside the ring. 1,010%. And sometimes, it might seem simple, obviously, simple psychology. But if it gets to a point where you're ever like you feel dreaded on doing something, and believe me, you're not, you're probably doing horrible than you are in terms of, not doing anything at all. In terms of like, if you're at work and stuff like that, kind of great. If you don't love what you're doing, you know what I mean? You come in, you're just like, Wesley, after he lost to Obafemi and, he cannot challenge for his NXT North American Championship as long as Femi holds it. And, you could tell that hurts him. You could tell that, after that, I thought he was going to call it quits. You had him about 2 weeks on NXT, about to call it quits, and then you saw Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel come out to lift the spirits up. And 1,010%, it was the right decision. Love this. Love the decision. 1,010%. And lastly, tonight on TNA Impact, we have Joe Hendry. We'll speak upon what happened with Josh Alexander at Slammiversary. Lord only knows what would have happened. Joe Hendry, pinned Moose. Probably the last person to pin Moose in the longest time. It's crazy. The other, competitors didn't really have to worry about the problem that is the leader of the system, the former TNA World Heavyweight Champion Moose, because Joe Hendry, hit that choke slam. He hit that. I forgot what he called it. Oh, forgot what he called it. Damn it. But no, I love Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. No, I think he's going to be a great superstar. I think he definitely has a championship caliber, potential. He still thinks and he still says if he wins the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, he's going to call out the Doctor Thugonomics, the hustle, loyalty, and respect. John Cena would be pretty awesome. Would probably be the biggest bombshell in terms of professional wrestling crossovers in the history of professional wrestling. I think that would be pretty cool. But, obviously, I don't know who I would be rooting for if John Cena fought Joe Hendry. Joe Henry's so damn cool, man. And when, he's he's viral right now. He's hot. Everybody wants a piece of him. All right, now moving on to the other Thursday show, we have Ring of Honor Club 75. We're going to kick off Ring of Honor with a 6-man championship match. Dustin Rhodes and Von Erichs defend their championships against the Iron Savages. We're also going to see the former Ring of Honor Strong champion and member of the Blackpool Combat Club, Wheeler Yuta, go against Anthony Henry. And you got to think about it. You have, John Moxley. He's taken some time away from AEW. He's gotten a grant from Tony Khan. Bryan Danielson on the verge of retiring. All you have is really Claudio Castagnoli. And, Wheeler Yuta is kind of out there on his own. You know what I mean? Like he recently lost his title. That's never good, obviously. And, once you become like a sole survivor of like a club, kind of like where you're seeing with Xavier Woods and the New Day with Karrion Kross and stuff like that, you need somebody to watch your back. Nobody's there. Then it gets you to start questioning their alliance and their allegiance and stuff like that. And it starts questioning like, hey, honestly, maybe we shouldn't be a stable together. You know what I mean? So, Wheeler Yuta dealing with some identity issues on Ring of Honor. We also have the Machine, Brian Cage, taking on Rocky Romero. Atlantis Jr. barely squeezed out of Death Before Dishonor with his title, the Ring of Honor Television Championship. Brian Cage was close. He was, he eliminated, or no, he manhandled most of the competitors that were in that match. Atlantis Jr. just right place, right time, was able to pick up the victory. But Brian Cage, he's still, leader of the Cage and Agony. I don't know, the Mogul Embassy or whatever. But he's special. He's special, 1,010%. Kind of reminds me of like a ruthless aggression kind of Batista. You know what I mean? Like a gentle giant. But obviously, right now he's heel right now. So if he ever goes babyface, he could probably make a good title run, 1,010%. Next, we have the Beast Mortos taking on AR Fox. Mortos has competed on Friday, Rampage, in the Royal Rampage, Saturday at Collision, and last night on AEW Dynamite. So his match card has been, super full, obviously, in terms of, trying to get more experience, trying to get your name out there more. Like I mentioned before, Don Callis was extremely impressed by the Beast Mortos last night on Dynamite, how he basically led Roderick Strong and Arush to a victory against the conglomeration. So you can, I don't know. I think the Beast Mortos, he's going to be the next one to maybe challenge, for the Strong Championship, maybe challenge for the world, the TV title. Hey, anything's possible. Next, we have Robin Renegade against Maya World. this is going to be big because I feel like this is going to, in terms of Red Velvet's next opponent for that Ring of Honor World Women's Television Championship. You can definitely see a lot, this, I don't know why this is not the normal contendership. I think 1,010% both of these women, they're on the radar. Robin Renegade is like right on the cusp of being great. So, will she knock off Maya World tonight? Who knows? Will she get a title shot against Red Velvet? That seems more than likely. So then we're going to have Fuego del Sol take on Jacoby Watts. We have the premier athletes taking on the superstars, and we have Top Flight in tag team action tonight at Ring of Honor, Honor Club 75. So make sure you tune into TNA Impact, also Ring of Honor tonight. So, yeah. All right, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to move on to my third segment. We're going to talk about WWE Summerslam rumors. Should be fun. Obviously it's cool to like play around with rumors and conspiracy theories and stuff like that. So, hey, stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time on the GSMC Sports Network, here to talk about everything wrestling, all the action outside and inside the ring, superstar news, injuries, contract updates, and contract status and stuff like that. So, make sure you tune into the podcast if you're a huge wrestling fan, or if you're trying to dabble on into professional wrestling. This is a pretty good way to start. We talk about AEW. We also talk about Ring of Honor. We talk about TNA. We talk about mostly WWE, to be honest. We talk about history. We talk about history as well. We dabble on into New Japan professional wrestling from time to time. MLW, Stardom, NWA occasionally when something really big happens. WWE, NXT, obviously along those lines as well. So make sure you tune into the podcast. It's pretty awesome. We'd love to see you guys back here every night to spend time with me. So without further ado, let's talk about some SummerSlam rumors. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me, what you think's going to happen at SummerSlam. Tell me what you want to happen at SummerSlam. 1,010% in terms of professional wrestling. The best and the coolest thing to do is obviously play around with some particular scenarios, play around with a little bit of conspiracy theories that might come true and be awesome as hell. So yeah, here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. So leave a positive remark. Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also follow the show and the GSMC Sports Network. So yeah, once again, the link is at the gsmcpodcast.net. Okay, so we're going to talk about some WWE SummerSlam rumors. Oh my God, it's a rumor. So on SummerSlam, at SummerSlam, there's going to be 6 title bouts. 6 title bouts, a total of 7 matches. Last year, there was 9 matches. SummerSlam, obviously expanded to 2 nights. So this is, I feel like this SummerSlam probably, well, every PLE really has to be huge, to be honest. I feel like that 1,010%. But this is going to be big. This is going to kind of stem into a new era, a new generation of SummerSlams that younger WWE fans will start to, kind of get used to. Obviously, I kind of had speculations that since WrestleMania is going international, SummerSlam is probably, it's going to be here to stay inside the United States, kind of like what WrestleMania was until, kind of got to step up in terms of, moving on up in the world. You got to accept change. You got to become one with change. You got to accept change. And for some people that is hard. Got to be honest. Now, if you want to watch WrestleMania, you have to, you got to get a hotel, got to get a rental car, you got to get airfare, and it's not, it's not going to be, it's not going to be that easy. As opposed to like if you lived in Atlanta, Georgia, and WrestleMania was in, you know, um, we'll just say SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. I'm from, from the area, SoCal. And, all you have to do is just hop on a couple freeways, hop on the 10 freeway, drive that thing all the way down, probably about a day or so. And then bam, you're there. But now, and you can probably do that on like $300. Well, I don't know. Gas is pretty damn expensive. You can probably do like $300 worth of gas and stuff like that. But now you gotta buy air tickets. And, everybody knows that, buying tickets outside of the United States to fly. It's a doozy. And then connecting flights, and you don't know if your flight's going to get canceled. You don't know if it's going to get delayed. It's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of WWE fans. But at the same time, I feel like for the WWE to spread its wings, it's kind of necessary. So the first rumor, it's been rumored that WWE wants the belt on Braun Breaker. But they kind of wanted him to win the Intercontinental Championship on a brighter stage, as opposed to WWE Money in the Bank. I'm not too sure how I'm going to feel about Braun Breaker as a champion right now. I'm open to it. We don't really have a dominant champion. Cody Rhodes seems like he's a dominant champion because he recently finished his story, and whenever he comes, whenever someone challenges him, I'm like, like. It took Cody Rhodes 2 years to get the title, and I don't think he's going to lose than less than like 6 or 7 months at least. But Braun Breaker, he's been one of the most successful WWE stars rising up. He's been trained by the likes of CM Punk. He's been trained obviously by his father Rick Steiner and his uncle Scott Steiner, and also I think if I'm not might not be mistaken, I think Roman Reigns also kind of plays a pivotal role on the upbringing of Braun Breaker in terms of WWE. And Sami Zayn losing the title, you know what? It wouldn't even make that much, I don't think it would make that much negative waves for WWE because Sami Zayn's title reign has been, in fact, it's been hard fought. It's been very impressive in my opinion. And, I don't think anybody should be mad. If anything, Sami Zayn, I feel like he's going to get a huge push, with his tenure as the Intercontinental Champion. But, him retaining also could be a high possibility. Braun Breaker has made a lot of enemies, a lot of enemies. And, but then so has, Sami Zayn with the Judgment Day. For Braun Breaker, there's Ilya Dragunov. There's also, Ricochet, who might make his way back to the WWE. Honestly, my bet is probably Ricochet resigns with the WWE. Maybe he has a little feud with Braun Breaker. Maybe eventually, maybe touches the Intercontinental Championship a couple of times. That'd be pretty dope. But I didn't really like him when he was the Speed Champion. I felt like WWE overall created the Speed title. Sort of like, honestly, we can't let Ricochet go. We gotta butter him up. We gotta keep him. You gotta have that fish hook. You gotta dangle that, that mouse, or no, not the mouse. What is it? Whatever. But on hamster wheel and stuff like that. So you know, Braun Breaker could definitely 1,010% be the next Intercontinental Champion. Next, we have, besides Cody Rhodes' match against Solo Sikoa, which is still, for me, to be honest, I'm still at 65-35 here. I was like 99% Cody Rhodes. I was like, dude, he's not going to lose. But, with all the buildup and stuff like that, I've heard rumors that, Cody Rhodes might be injured. He might have to relinquish his championship, which would be absolutely devastating. Him having to start from scratch and, trying to gain it back from the bloodline. But I feel like Solo Sikoa, and if they are teasing Solo Sikoa eventually fighting Roman Reigns, you sort of have to, you have to give some prestige to Solo Sikoa. I still feel like his credibility and the way people kind of look at him is a little weak in terms of like skills and in-ring capabilities, and his way to kind of overall harness the power of the people, how people like kind of perceive him. I'm still, I think they kind of forced this a little bit too much, but that was my opinion, 1,010%. I thought Cody maybe should have fought the likes of Randy Orton or something like that, like a friendly bout. And then you have the bloodline coming after him and stuff like that. But, hopefully Paul Levesque and the creative team from WWE know what they're doing. So, But out of all the matches, this is probably the only match that won't have a title change. All the other matches, like the Damian Priest, Gunther, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Bayley versus Nia Jax, etc. All those matches look like they have the potential. All these singles matches, it looks like they have the potential to drop the title. Logan Paul, you have the LA Knight absolutely over right now with the crowd 1,010%. Would be interesting to see him, win the match overall. But yeah, kind of crazy, but whatever. Jey Uso not a part of SummerSlam, and we a couple of episodes ago, I was talking. His father Rikishi voiced his frustration over WWE creative, saying that you're kind of what are you doing with my son? I feel like Jey Uso could have won the Money in the Bank. It would have made it pretty interesting, to be honest. But now you kind of have him flirting with Rhea Ripley, becoming part of this little love triangle between Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley. So, it's honestly, in my opinion, I don't think it's that great, being brutally honest. But, Jey Uso, he's a special superstar. No doubt in my mind, he will be champion someday. But, definitely not before this year's SummerSlam. Maybe they might make it up to him. Maybe he wins the Royal Rumble. Maybe he fights, his former tag team partner. They held the tag team undisputed championships together, Cody Rhodes. Maybe he's the one to kind of dethrone Cody Rhodes. That would be insane, super crazy. But, honestly, anything's possible at this point. So Dave Meltzer said, and I quote, "This will end up as the largest gate for a non-WrestleMania show in North American history, and the second most attended SummerSlam behind, of course, the 1992 show at Wembley Stadium in history." Kind of crazy, because yesterday we talked about how AEW's All In is going to be at Wembley Stadium. So thus, people are saying that, the pay-per-view is going to be way bigger. It's going to be way bigger than WWE SummerSlam because it holds more seats than Cleveland Brown Stadium. But, I like what they're going. I like the way they're heading for SummerSlam. I got to be honest. I think it's going to, this Saturday, I'm super excited. Although there's only I think they said 7 matches or something like that. But I don't know why the DIY title match and, against the Tongans aren't at SummerSlam. But, overall, I think it's going to be a great show. I can't wait to watch it 1,010%. Is Roman Reigns coming back? Will Roman Reigns return? Right now, I'm still, at a coin toss here. If he comes back, he's not going to get inside the ring. He's not going to do confrontation at all. He debuted, after he was in remission. He debuted back into the WWE. After he relinquished his Universal Championship, he came in to take down The Fiend at SummerSlam, and that's kind of started with the whole new persona back in 2021 where, wreck everyone and leave, or come in, win, leave. Like, he came in and kind of like a jerk, came in as that, kind of like as that heel that everybody knew that he could possibly be. And honestly, which was better for his character as opposed to forcing him down the WWE Universe's throat as a babyface, which Vince McMahon did really, really well as soon as Roman Reigns left the Shield. So, don't know if he's going to come back. It's highly still speculated, but I'm not too sure. Will Paul Heyman also return? Paul Heyman possibly could return with Roman Reigns. Maybe he returns if does Jimmy Uso return at SummerSlam? It would be pretty interesting to see them all walk out, Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, Paul Heyman, to confront the young bloodline, distract Solo Sikoa, which causes him to lose against Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam for his championship match, which would be, it seems like that would be more than likely. Because, I doubt I would love to see a face-to-face, I'd love to see a challenge in tribal combat between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. But right now, I just don't see it really happening. I feel like, pushing it a little too soon. Maybe at the Bash of Berlin, you might be getting a match like that. And then heading toward November, you could possibly damn near get a Bloodline Civil War match, which would be, in War Games, which would be pretty badass. Brock Lesnar, like I mentioned last show, he's kind of like the king. He's the king of SummerSlam. He's always in SummerSlams. He's always in the main event at SummerSlam. He's like the Undertaker in terms of main events at WrestleMania, where, he's always there. He's always there. Brock Lesnar has always been Like, obviously, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, but more often than not, at SummerSlam. You've seen him fight some of the best matches he's had at SummerSlam, like in a 2003 where he took on, where he stole the show with Kurt Angle. Or like when he had that last man standing match against Roman Reigns, where he had to throw everything but the kitchen sink on top, and he came in with the tractor to, throw over the ring and stuff like that. Was pretty insane, to be honest. But Brock Lesnar, looking for, he's looking to return to WWE. I'm not too sure how quick he is because the whole Janelle Grant allegations and the court case and the lawsuit and stuff like that. I kind of ultimately came up with the decision. If I was Brock Lesnar or if I was his PR rep, I'm like, you know what, like, I would wait for everything to kind of blow over in terms of that. Maybe maybe make a return at the Royal Rumble. I think that could be ideal as well. But in terms of when it comes to WWE, unpredictability sells. Would be automatically electric if you heard the Beast Incarnate song hit like that would be pretty insane. Being weird, I would love to see it. Alexa Bliss, she's in her hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. Well, no, I think it's Cincinnati. I'm not too sure, but she's from the Ohio area, obviously representing. It's kind of been predetermined. It's to the point where her joining the Wyatt Six is a little bit too obvious now. Honestly, in my opinion, I feel like as soon as you kind of saw Nikki Cross kind of filling that void, I was like, you know what? Usually when it comes to stables in terms of WWE, you only really have one chick. That's just kind of the rules. Would be cool to kind of see that rule broken, though. See Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross go after the WWE World Women's Tag Team titles would be pretty awesome. But then watching Alexa come back, doing her own thing, being what Alexa does every single time she comes into a WWE ring, is she pisses the other people off. She might be small, but she's a package of dynamite ready to explode when do all it takes to get the dub. So would be pretty interesting to see Alexa Bliss return at WWE SummerSlam. I would definitely, to be honest, I think it'd be sick. I think it'd be sick. Next, Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair also was seen on social media, practicing inside a performance center, maybe teasing at a potential run here at WWE SummerSlam. Her obviously coming back would be amazing. Put the women's locker room on notice a little bit. I feel like her, coming back to the WWE right now would ultimately kind of force WWE to kind of speed up with the process in terms of the WWE Women's Intercontinental and the WWE Women's United States Championship. Because, you have her come back. You also have Tiffany Stratton still with the Money in the Bank briefcase. You also have Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan kind of in their own little world on Raw. Besides those two, there's not really anyone who can challenge for the World Women's Champion. Maybe Sonya Deville. Maybe perhaps because you have Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark kind of stepping into that full women's tag team kind of title role a little bit. So, definitely. Or you also have Io Sky. Io Sky also a Damage Control. And I'm thinking that, especially after the promo they had on Monday Night Raw, I think Damage Control is kind of heading for a different direction. Asuka comes back, perhaps, as a singles wrestler. She's a very dominant singles wrestler. Would be interesting to see her go back after the title. I want to see her as champion again. 1,010%. I think she's a great champion. Dakota Kai also, I feel like, kind of deserves a little bit of a singles run inside of WWE. She's more than formidable to hold a championship title. 1,010%. But at the main title, that's a different question. But, you bring in the Women's Intercontinental, you bring in the Women's United States Championship. I feel like it'd be great for her, to be honest. All right, and lastly, will Seth Rollins attack CM Punk at the match, costing him to lose, costing a feud between them? But, if you had CM Punk destroy Drew McIntyre's hopes and dreams of becoming champion 3 times, just kind of having it all end in one night at SummerSlam kind of just seems like kind of a letdown, to be honest. That's just my opinion. But unless they completely just beat the hell out of each other, Seth Rollins obviously is the special guest referee, so anything really goes. He's gonna, he's gonna call it or he's not gonna call it. He's gonna turn his back and act like he can't see or he doesn't know what's going on. So obviously you have the visionary. Hopefully he has a vision of the way he ultimately wants to move on with this match. But, a lot of speculation saying that he will, piss off the WWE Universe, turn heel. So, well, I don't think in that situation there's not really like a turning heel because You kind of have Drew McIntyre. He's kind of in his own little world. Then you have CM Punk, who's, he's not really liked or he's not really loved, or he's not really hated. And Seth Rollins is kind of like that bridge in between those two. So that'd be kind of interesting. All right, guys, now we're going to move on to my fourth segment. We're going to talk about Survivor Series Wargames being announced by Triple H, Paul Levesque. It's going to be in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. We're going to talk about it. Obviously, this is where the Bloodline Civil War will take place. And I can't wait to dive into it when we come back.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, on the GSMC Sports Network, here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about. We had our AEW Dynamite review. We talked about my Thursday Night Wrestling preview, step into the world of Ring of Honor, the Ring of TNA Impact. Also, we talked about some SummerSlam rumors that might possibly go down this Saturday. But without further ado, we're going to talk about some war games. We're going to talk about the Bloodline Civil War heading towards Survivor Series. Can't wait. 1,010%. It's going to be dope. So let's go ahead and dig on into it. So WWE CCO Paul Triple H Levesque made the announcement, and he announced the date and location of Survivor Series 2024. It will be at the Rogers Arena in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, on November 30th. And a lot of shows kind of taking place in the Canada area, which is super cool. Definitely love how they're it's not like Saudi Arabia or the United Kingdom where you got to hop on a flight. It's relatively it's close to the States, but I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be great. Definitely one of the best Survivor Series of all time. Usually that's kind of been the trend lately under the Paul Levesque Triple H era here. How it seems like in every way, all the PLEs are getting better and better and better. Even The Miz said in an interview, he said that the locker room morale is at an all-time high. And when the employees are happy, then you're going to get some pretty good you're going to get some pretty good conduct. Not conduct. You're going to get some pretty good content. Excuse me. But honestly, it's a doozy here, to be honest. But should be pretty interesting. So without further ado, the main event will feature a War Games match. Obviously, I think it's going to be what we're all been waiting for. Civil War Bloodline will take place. Team one, of course, you have the young Bloodline, led by their leader, the self-proclaimed tribal chief, Solo Sikoa, of course, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. And you have Jacob Fatu. There's obviously one more spot open. You have Tala Tonga. He's been signed. Hikuleo from New Japan Professional Wrestling. He is on the WWE roster. It's I can't wait to find out when he's gonna freaking start. It's been like teased forever. I feel like ever since the beginning of June. I feel like and me that's only like a month. But I'm like, come on, I want to see it now. But no, they signed him. They trademarked the name Talatonga, and he's on the WWE roster. So 1,010%, he could definitely be the next one. Also, you can have The Rock. The Rock 1,010% could unveil himself as the true leader. Solo Sikoa maybe holding his spot as the tribal chief. It would be pretty interesting to kind of have that storyline, which I think is probably the less likely storyline. But you have The Rock coming in and The Rock, when he made his return back to WWE, he wanted a piece of Roman Reigns. He did not want to wrestle beside him at night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania, but he ultimately kind of had to choose his battles, choose his overall demons, and they chose an overall threat and enemy in Cody Rhodes. So, The Rock could definitely fill in that void as well. Now, on the other side, we have the original Bloodline. So you need 5 members to a War Games match. Obviously, I think these 4 individuals, minus Solo Sikoa, of course, will be the team. Will overall be the team. And I think they're going to reach out to Sami Zayn, the honorary Uce. I think at this point, it seems like it's overall, it kind of just makes sense. It makes sense 1,010%. This would definitely, kind of rehash, reharness all the fun that it was watching Sami Zayn prowl around as the honorary Uce in the Bloodline. I think that would be pretty fun to watch. I would also expect, it'd also be a new storyline for him, especially after dropping the belt to Braun Breaker at WWE SummerSlam, if he drops the belt to Braun Breaker. Also, you have Jimmy and Jay, who were kicked out of the Bloodline, but I think overall, to fight a common enemy, you're going to have to, patch things up. Overall, heading for a different direction than the Bloodline would be pretty interesting to see that kind of moving forward. This is why I feel like one of the biggest reasons why Jey Uso probably has not got his push in in singles wrestling in terms of Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown. It would explain a lot. Being brutally honest, obviously you need one more member. A lot of speculation saying that maybe if The Rock does join, Solo Sikoa saying that this whole time he has been pulling the strings. Tala Tonga, the younger brother of but Solo Sikoa is also the younger brother of the Usos. Tala Tonga could come back. Could make his debut in WWE as more like a babyface push. We've kind of see a lot of Tongans. We've seen a lot of people hate the new members of the Bloodline. So then why not throw a curveball? Why don't you have, someone help out Roman Reigns of the new, like a newer superstar coming to the WWE? That could possibly be a direction that they'll be, kind of heading into. But overall, I feel like the introduction, the fuel to the fire will definitely start soon. My vision is probably WWE SummerSlam. You have Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, maybe Jimmy Uso, maybe not. You have him come out and just throw Solo Sikoa off just enough for Cody Rhodes to hit the crossroads and retain that championship. And we're going to see a Bloodline Civil War at Survivor Series, but we're going to see a Tribal Chief combat match between Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns, which Roman will lose. He's going to lose that match. But, to see it at the Bash of Berlin, definitely to start setting up. Bash of Berlin is set for the end of August, beginning of September. Then, of course, the next, pay-per-view you have is November Survivor Series. So, you have enough time for that. I feel like it is getting, it is kind of perfect timing there. You know what I mean? I kind of hated it. I kind of hated Solo Sikoa fighting Cody Rhodes so fast. But if they're only using that as bait to hook in Solo Sikoa, to have Roman Reigns ultimately screw over his former enforcer just to kind of get into his head, Tribal Chief combat, beat down on his luck, having to recruit somebody like Jimmy Uso, having to say sorry and make amends with Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. But no, honestly, 1,010%, it should be should be pretty awesome. I don't know really what's going to happen, but something that I am sure that will happen is The Rock will screw Roman Reigns. I feel like it's it's kind of inevitable. I think 1,010%, it is inevitable right now with The Rock. I feel like he's going to, definitely. I don't know if he's going to find his way. Maybe he's the 5th member of the original Bloodline, and then he finds a way to screw over Roman Reigns to the point where, then he reveals that he's been part of that whole, the whole entire time, which is high. It could definitely be that way. 1,010%. The Rock would definitely betray Roman Reigns, or at, or maybe you have The Rock, kind of blurring the lines a little bit, kind of showing Roman that he does support his claim. War Games match happen. Tala Tonga teams up with the new young Bloodline. So you have the team of Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, Jacob Fatu, and Tala Tonga. That's 5. And then you have Sami Zayn, Jimmy Jey Uso, The Rock, and Roman Reigns. And then at the end of the match, number 5, the last person to come in is The Rock into the War Games match. And then he ultimately unveils that he's been pulling the strings the whole time. Then you're going to have a 6-on-4 War Games match where you just see Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn get absolutely demolished by this young bloodline, kind of setting up toward a possible, the reason why The Rock will be a complete heel fighting Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Once again, maybe Teletunga doesn't, maybe he's not part of the War Games match. Maybe he eventually comes into one of those fads or factions, but not right away. Where maybe you do have The Rock siding with, Solo Sikoa's claim, and maybe they kind of recruit somebody like Cody Rhodes to be on their side. But all in all, I just The Rock's gonna betray Roman Reigns. 1,010% know that's gonna happen. But yeah, on 1,010%, I'm excited. I'm definitely excited to see what's gonna happen at SummerSlam. 1,010% excited for this War Games match. It's gonna be elite. It's gonna be lit. So yeah, we also have, some, media members, former WWE superstar Jonathan Coachman. I don't know if he was technically a WWE superstar, but no, the coach. You got to love the coach. Suggested that, once when Roman Reigns returns back to the WWE, Solo Sikoa and the others will follow him. They will, follow. They'll land in line. They'll follow in line just to betray Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. Like they'll play like they're behind him and stuff like that. Then you have the War Games match, and then you ultimately see them turn against Roman Reigns. But that would be, that'd be kind of crazy. That'd be kind of crazy. Tommy Colucci, who does a podcast with the coach, he says he has no doubts that Roman Reigns will return on Saturday at SummerSlam. He gives it 1,010% guarantee. Roman Reigns will be the distraction. His entrance will light up the arena. People will go absolutely freaking nuts. It's kind of like if the Cleveland Browns would win the Super Bowl. People would be absolutely nuts if you hear Roman Reigns' theme song hit at Cleveland Browns Stadium in the main event with Cody Rhodes defending his WWE Undisputed Championship against the self-proclaimed Tribal Chief Solo Sikoa. So, just, a lot of stuff kind of think about. But I'm into it. I can't wait to see this War Games, this Bloodline Civil War, and WWE just needs to make it happen. All right, guys. Now we are on our last and fifth and final segment. We have we do every Thursday. I hit on a superstar. I think it seemed like it's fitting to kind of have Bryan Danielson be a part of this because he put his career on the line at Wembley Stadium at All In. So yeah, we're gonna get into that as soon as we come back. So hey, do not go anywhere. All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, your favorite wrestling fan, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time on the GSMC Sports Network. Going to talk about all things professional wrestling, all the action inside and out, superstar news, updates, injury statuses, and, your whatnots or have-nots. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our AEW Dynamite review. We also had my Thursday Night Wrestling review where we step into the ring of TNA Impact and also the World of Ring of Honor Club 75, I believe. And then we also talked about my SummerSlam rumors. Well, not my SummerSlam rumors, obviously. When I do research for the show, I check some, wrestling media outlets and stuff like that. I have a couple of favorite ones that I, definitely am a huge fan of, 1,010%. And then our fourth segment, we talked about Survivor Series coming to British Columbia, Canada. Vancouver, and it's going to be War Games. They're going to feature the War Games match, and I think it's going to be the Bloodline. Silver War, baby, 1,010%. And now our fifth and final segment before I let you guys go. We do have my boy Emran with the GSMC Soccer Podcast at 9:30, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So, yeah, let's go ahead and dig on to our fifth and final segment. We're going to have our Thursdays Superstar Spotlight. Bryan Danielson. God, he looks so younger. That's crazy. Anyways, so Bryan Danielson on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite said that if I don't win the AEW World Title at All In, I will never wrestle again. Wow, that's pretty big there. Putting all your eggs in one basket there, Bryan. That's that's pretty ballsy. 1,010%. If you're gonna go out, might as well go out guns blazing. It's time to nut up or shut up. Essentially, Danielson, he's very open in terms of his struggles with his body that he's been facing ever since, his first neck injury and stuff like that. Obviously, feel for the guy. Definitely, I feel for him. His doctor basically told him not to wrestle. Basically said, we need to make sure your neck stays fixable. Make sure nothing else bad happens to the point of no return. Because then guess what, dude? You are never walking again. You're not, dancing with your daughter on her wedding night. You're not, having beers with your sons the night before, his wedding night. So a lot of stuff on the line here. And as a husband and as a father, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I don't think I would have the balls big enough to like walk in there and be like, you know what? I don't care about my neck injuries. A neck injury that caused me to actually retire from professional wrestling. Only to get, a stem cell just to come back to make a return. Kind of crazy, kind of sucks, but I feel for Dan O'Brien. It's not an easy decision. It's the passion. Obviously, 1,010% is your passion. But yeah, having already retired once due to an injury, he also talked about his contract. His contract is officially up tonight, August 1st. So, he made a promise to his wife and his daughter that this contract that recently passed in AEW would be the last wrestling contract he would ever sign. So, well, that's such a hard decision. That's so crazy. You may never know. The world is a time, the future. You don't really know what it holds. The best thing you can do is use the information you have use the information you have at hand to make the best possible decision. And overall, I feel like Bryan Danielson, if he does call it quits, I wouldn't blame him. But if he goes out there, does what he does, does what he loves to do is wrestle. And in the main event, at the main event, damn. And Swerve Strickland came out as well. He was supportive of, to a certain extent. But, at the same time, you can't really expect Swerve to go out there and just kiss Bryan Danielson's ass and be like, do you got this, brother? I'm going to be rooting for you. He said if this was under any other circumstances that didn't include him in the main event defending his AEW World Heavyweight Championship, he would be, rooting on Bryan Danielson to a T. But now you have Swerve Strickland. He's going to play games with you. He's going to make it personal. He says in terms of, AEW and the World Championship, he's on top. He's the tippy top dog. He's better. He's the best. Absolutely. And at this point, his matches and the way he's defended his title, the way he kind of holds himself up, I honestly don't doubt that. I think Swerve Strickland is a phenomenal superstar. Being brutally honest, I think he's amazing. Definitely the right choice for AEW. Definitely the right choice for Tony Khan to put the title overall on Swerve Strickland there. So, kind of crazy. Whether, in my opinion, I think whether if he wins or whether if he loses, Danielson will retire. But also, he kind of added in the full-time contract, meaning that he will wrestle full-time. So he could be a part-timer. He could definitely be a part-timer, 1,010% wrestle here and there. Also, when Triple H was in that into that authority role, definitely could still do his runs around with the Blackpool Combat Club. Definitely could do something in terms of promotions for AEW, perhaps, or maybe become someone part of the creative team. Who knows? The possibilities are wide open. And Tony Khan, he has such a huge respect for his superstars that there's no doubt in my mind he's going to find something that keeps Bryan Danielson around AEW. even if it kills him, you know what I mean? Like being a part-time wrestling and part-time matches and stuff like that. I think in terms of not really having one-on-one matches where all the attention, all the pressure is on you to perform at top tier physical abilities. So, having tag matches, being a part of a trios tag team title, contenders would be ideal for Bryan Danielson moving forward if he decides to, retire from full time. But if he wins, oh God, I kind of don't want him to win because I want him for his best health, But if he does win, maybe he wins the title, lays it down on the floor, says that, you know what, I've done and I've accomplished this. Everything that I've signed out for AEW, I'm going to step away. And then the AEW World Heavyweight Championship becomes vacated, which you would get a straight up dogfight for that match. I would probably, have my best bet on possibly Hangman Adam Page taking on Swerve Strickland for the vacated title. Would be pretty interesting to kind of see that moving forward. To be, I think it'd be pretty awesome. So, kind of crazy, but like I said, don't get too crazy. Possibility for a part-time is still up in the air. Love Bryan Danielson, love Daniel Bryan in the WWE, but, all good things must come to an end. So, my man, Bryan Danielson, his middle name's Lloyd. He was born May 22nd of 1981, started wrestling at 19 years old. That's crazy. He wrestled, as Daniel Bryan from 2010 to 2021. He had an 18-month contract with the WWF/WWE in 2000. He was in Ring of Honor in 2002. 2009, he was the Ring of Honor World Champion. He was the Ring of Honor Pure Champion. He's also a Ring of Honor inaugural Hall of Famer in 2022, which is pretty badass. He did some wrestling in New Japan Professional Wrestling, or just in Japan. Overall, he's a GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, two-time PWG World Heavyweight Champion. He's an FIP Heavyweight Champion and a WXW World Heavyweight Champion. He made his return to WWE in 2010. He's a four-time WWE Champion, a one-time World Heavyweight Champion. He's won the United States Intercontinental Tag Team. He's also one of a Triple Crown winner as well, Money in the Bank winner. He left the WWE after his contract in May 21st, debuted in AEW 4 months later. He was born in Washington. He played football and track and field in high school. He used to work at McDonald's, which is, just honestly gives me, so much more respect. Obviously, you see his lovely wife up there, Brie Bella. He started the Yes Movement. There was a point where Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, had all the odds stacked against him, where you had Triple H sending Randy Orton saying that he's the top guy. Then you had the Shield coming after you. Then eventually you had your former Hell No tag team partner Kane coming after you. You led a revolution where you had fans and they refused to leave unless Triple H gave you what you wanted, a World Heavyweight Championship match. He almost married AJ Lee. Of course, I don't know if that, probably totally kayfabe and stuff like that. But, and then she actually cost Daniel Bryan that match against Sheamus that took 18 seconds at WrestleMania, which was pretty darn embarrassing. But, it is what it is. And then he came back to the WWE. He was the SmackDown general manager for a little bit there. He was also, he came back. He did win the WWE Championship from AJ Styles. I think AJ Styles, was it? Yeah, no. He went heel, where he was doing his old the real Daniel Bryan, where he threw away the championship for a self-sustaining, made out of recyclable materials championship belt with his partner Eric Rowan, where he would run around and tell everybody that they're acting fickle. Like it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny, but at the same time, it was just I think it was garbage. I think it was garbage booking. It was a bad character for him, to be honest. Much like you kind of saw with Jon Moxley before he went to AEW, where he was the moral compass, burning Seth Rollins shirts outside the stadium and stuff like that. And it is wrestling and it's sports entertainment to a certain extent. But for WWE, for wrestling fans to kind of buy in, you can't be so totally absurd and asinine that you think about what you're seeing and you're like, oh yeah, this is this kind of gives wrestling a bad rap. And 1,010%, I definitely think that, thought that was the booking of Bryan Danielson after when he came back and started doing his own thing again. You had him fight against Brock Lesnar, champion versus champion, which was a pretty darn good match. He damn near almost beat Brock, but of course, Brock is Brock, and he rocked. He rocked Daniel Bryan there. But overall, I think this guy's one of the best. He's going to be a legend in the WWE. He's the best to ever do it. He's the best to ever lace up his boots. What he did in WWE, Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling, and 4 years in AEW, one of the trailblazers. You had AEW start in 2019. Definitely post-pandemic. A lot of decision making in terms of wrestling promotions. At the time, WWE wasn't doing so good. You had just kind of BS promotions, in my opinion, 1,010% BS bookings, because they could do it. They could do it. WWE was like, you know what? There is no other wrestling promotion that could stand toe to toe with WWE. And it's still, legitimate today, but that's why I felt like they did just crummy bookings where you saw Bobby Lashley, flirting with Lana, taking Rusev's wife and stuff like that. And it was, oh God, it was so bad. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But, enough of that. We're here to throw flowers at Bryan Lloyd Danielson, one of the best to ever do it. Definitely has all the accolades and all the accomplishments in the world to be considered one of the best wrestlers in the whole entire world to ever step into the ring. So, definitely love Bryan Danielson. Definitely hope the best for his future. Hope, I wish him luck. Wish him luck against Swerve Strickland at AEW All In, Wembley Stadium, London, August 25th. So make sure you tune into that. It's going to be sick. It's going to be awesome. Could be the last time you could see Bryan Danielson inside of a ring. So might as well just, make the best of it. It's fun. He's a fun watch. So, don't go through your professional fan wrestling fandom. Without ever watching Bryan Danielson inside the ring, you rob yourself of that pleasure, of that privilege. So make sure you tune into that. So, yeah. Well, guys, it's it. This is the end. That was my show. Hope you guys liked it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also, leave a positive review here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. Remember to follow us on Twitter /X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for more content and updates. And like I always say, if I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, we have basketball with my boy Nelson. We also have Chris Shepard with fantasy sports. We have my boy Sam with baseball, TJ and Jeremy with sports, all around sports. We also have the Andrew Tate Show, very entertaining, entertainment meets sports. And we also have the football right around the corner. It's almost week 0. I think it's kind of crazy how college football kind of does the week 0 thing. I actually watched the Hall of Fame game today. It was like, before it got rained out. But, I kind of thought to myself, I was like, dude, why do people have such a bad rap for preseason football? I don't get it. I like watching preseason football. You get to see all the people trying to fight and claw their way up to a roster spot. Kind of like watching college football, to be honest. Like, isn't that what all those guys are trying to do to make it to the NFL? So why does it get such big hate? Like, why do people hate the preseason so much? You're basically watching college football. Like, I'm just kidding. Well, no, I'm not. I'm gonna stick by that claim. Preseason football is dope. I like it. 1,010%. We also have the Chip Shot Football Podcast with my boy Manny, and we have the GSMC Football Podcast with my boy Kenneth as well. Be a part of this GSMC Sports Bloodline. It's going to be awesome. I am running out of words to say. Tomorrow is Friday, so make sure you come with your favorite snack, your favorite beverage to kind of chill on while you, watch me babble on like an idiot for about an hour and 15 minutes. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me. Hope you guys have a lovely night. But as always, stay beautiful.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.